Hey everybody, Sam here. Beautiful day here in Rye, New Hampshire. We're going to take the ASICS Magic Speed 4, $170 out July 1st for a second run. I'm going to give you my impressions from the run and comparisons actually from the run. It gets much more stack height at 43.5 at the heel, so it's a super max cushion trainer. It also gets a dual foam midsole with flight foam turbo underfoot, and it has a carbon plate. Stay tuned. Hi everybody, Sam from Road Trail Run. Today we're going to take a look at the Magic Speed 4 from ASICS. It's $170. It's coming out July 1st. So the Magic Speed has been ASICS sort of up-tempo shoe with a plate, not its Metasky racer. And in version 3, which I'm going to show you here, it had the carbon plate, it had Flight Foam Blast Plus, and it had a stack of 3629 7mm drop. Big changes for the Magic Speed 4, which now becomes essentially a super trainer with a bigger stack height, 43mm at the heel, and we have 35.5mm at the forefoot. So we gained 7.5mm of heel stack, 6.5 of forefoot stack. So this is beyond the 40mm World Athletics limits for elites and above the Metaspeed Sky. So it truly becomes a super trainer competing with the Neo Vista from Mizuno, the SC Trainer from New Balance, the Prime X. So, but there's more changes, and you can see it right there, Flight Foam Turbo. So we have a top layer of Flight Foam Turbo up above here, and below we have Flight Foam Blast Plus, whereas before in the 3, it was all Flight Foam Blast Plus. So what does that do? Well, I've already run once, a decent longer run, and I'm going to run them again, but it certainly gives it quite a bit of more energy. And what happens to the weight? Well, it does go up 8.38 ounces, 236 grams, about that in a US 9. Which is still plenty fine. Before we were at about 7.6 ounces in a US 9. So we do go up in weight, but that is a lot more stack height. And it really changes the character of the shoe. Whereas before it was sort of an up-tempo kind of trainer. Maybe you could race in it. I kind of like the 2 better than the 3. When they went to the carbon plate, it got a bit too stiff, a bit too rough for me. Well, here ASICS has done a really good job integrating plate and the 2 foams without really changing the platform width. It's about 5mm wider at the forefoot, same as before. You can see the carbon plate. So the ASICS marketing says, and I'm going to read you this, that it's a daily carbon trainer. And I think that's absolutely true. And I'm going to take them out on another run here and give you impressions from the run. But this is the kind of carbon plated shoe that, yes, indeed, you could run most of your miles in without having a harsh feel from the plate. Super well integrated, tons of cushioning. And what's actually quite remarkable, given the narrow platform, is this is a very stable shoe. I'm very surprised. The geometry does that. The location of the plate somewhat lower. And let's talk about the upper. So we have a stout heel counter. We have plenty of cushioning around the collars, not too much. We have a thin unpadded tongue with a gusset, and we have a new upper mesh material, whereas before we had the single layer motion wrap that we also see in the Metaspeed Sky, single layer. You can see here. Now we have a bit more conventional, a bit softer, more kind of training focused upper, very comfortable upper. We'll talk a bit about the fit on the run. I wouldn't call it a broad fit for sure, and I think that's important to keep us stabilized on this platform. But you can see the mesh is, it's now a bit lined. It's quite soft and pliable, still decently thin. We have a little bit of a toe bumper stiffening, both the weave of the mesh and maybe there's a little thin plastic layer in there, but very comfortable, very secure, very locked down, quite surprising. So let's take them out for a run on the roads of Rye. At least today it is better weather than it was yesterday, where it was all rain and wind. So here we go, and I'll also have some more comparisons here for you. The Kinvara Pro, the Prime X. What else are we going to talk about? The Neo Vista from Mizuno, and a few others. Stay tuned. So the carbon plate is really well integrated here. This is not a carbon plated shoe that you're going to find very harsh at all, especially in the front, but also in the rear. It seems to sit far enough back down in the midsole that it doesn't give you an overly firm feel there. The roll is good. It's not a race type roll off the front with the carbon. It's a little more gentle. Of course, it's rigid, so it's more a training feel roll. Wish it was a little bit more abrupt, a little longer rocker maybe, but all in all, very smooth. One thing I really feel here is how consistent the platform is, front to back, steady, stable despite relatively narrow platform, very smooth, not particularly exciting, but it can handle different paces, slower paces even, I think, quite well. Right now I'm about 10, 15 pace, and it's just fine. Running into the harbor, gonna tell you a little bit about the fit, a little bit more here. So if you've run the SC Trainer V2, less so V1, and found at the heel kind of soft, especially at slower paces, and the plate a bit mismatched, this shoe is a bit firmer and much more consistent in feel. All the fishing boats are out, or most of them, the big ones anyway, the lobster boats and the tuna boats. So let's talk about the fit here of our Magic Speed 4. True to size fit, a bit pointy toe box, very, very well held heel, midfoot, relatively low volume. You can see my laces aren't super snugged across. So this is an appropriate upper, I think, for the not narrow high platform and the speedy purpose of the shoe. Lacing is comfortable, easy, never had to adjust. There's enough, the laces are soft enough, no bite on the unpadded tongue. In terms of length, try to show you here, it's about a thumb, maybe a bit pointy, but for me it works just fine. Not sure folks with very high volume, higher volume feet are gonna find there's enough room, especially midfoot room here. But I'm not sure, you could try sizing up, but I'm not sure that's a good idea in such a high, narrow platform. I think they've dialed the upper just about right here. At the mouth of the harbor, some folks were trying out their 66, I think it is, Mustang, and they also took some nice pictures of me, which I was grateful for. So the sensation is just all of a piece. So you pick up the pace, a little bit flat front starts to come alive as you plunge into the turbo foam. I'll say a few things about some comparisons. So at about equivalent stack heights, it's lighter than any of its plated competitors. Prime X Strung, Kinvara Pro, much heavier Skyward X from Hoka, and the SC Trainer, so between an ounce and 2 ounces lighter. So it really punches big for the 43.5, 35.5 stack height, and keeps itself together, unlike say Prime X, which is definitely more exciting but not as practical. Now heavier. Kinvara Pro, a little bit, definitely more lumbering. Skyward X, maximum soft cushion and carbon plate, but very heavy, 11 ounce and a bit, so almost 3 ounces heavier, 2 ounces heavier than we have here. So at 8.13 ounces, we're just a little bit above, say, common super shoe sizes, weights, which should be usually 7.5 or even way lower, like the Metaspeed Sky Paris. But it is definitely an option as a racing shoe, and at $170 versus $250 and more, it's very reasonably priced. Another clear competitor, the Neo Vista from Mizuno, 0.8 ounces, 23 grams heavier, broader platform. That's where the weight comes from, I think, and also dual foam with EVA and a supercritical. What I like about it is it has a fiberglass type plate with some flex, so it accommodates easier paces. It's not quite as fast-paced, dynamic off the front, but it's a bit more pace versatile. The other thing is it has a stretch knit upper, which will accommodate, I think, broader feet than in this Magic Speed. It's a really fine knit upper. Gonna keep going. So before we move to some conclusions, a couple more comparisons in detail. First, our Magic Speed 3 here. So we have 7.5 millimeters more heel height in the 4, 6.5 in the front. So you've got a lot more cushioning. You also get a full upgrade to Flight Foam Turbo from Flight Foam Blast with the Flight Foam Blast Plus below. In terms of the upper, I kind of prefer the lighter upper over here, but the fit is really quite similar, really. This upper is probably a bit more breathable. This one's a bit more comfort oriented. All in all, it's a different shoe. It's a Supermax trainer versus an up-tempo kind of shoe. So you might ask, where do you go if you like the kind of agile up-tempo feel of the Magic Speed 3, now that our Magic Speed 4 is a more max cushion super trainer? Well, I would look at the Noosa Tri 16. I'll have the review soon, but it gets Flight Foam Blast Plus. It's lighter now. It's about the same weight as the Magic Speed was before. It comes in at 7.6 ounces, 215 grams US 9, with a 34-26 stack height and about the same platform width as the Magic Speed 3 had. And it is a super fun shoe. No plate, so we do have some flexibility, as you can see here, whereas neither of our Magic Speed 4 or Magic Speed 3 had it. So this is a really good option if maybe you want an up-tempo, lighter shoe from ASICS. Let's move to mention this on the run, but a shoe I think is a really competitor here to our Magic Speed. So it's the Neo Vista from Mizuno. So we do get 1 millimeter more stack height, front and back. We have a dual foam configuration. So with the Neo Vista, we have the softer supercritical next foam below and their EVA, light EVA above, whereas in our Magic Speed 4, we have the Flight Foam Turbo above and the EVA below. So this shoe is definitely a competitor. The couple key differences. There is a fiberglass plate in here, and we have this giant hollowed out area. We do come in 0.8 ounces, 23 grams heavier. We have 1 millimeter more stack, but we also have a wider platform. So we end up a bit more stable here even than our Magic Speed 4. The other key difference is with this plate, unlike the Magic Speed, and I try not to tip everything over, but we do have some flex, whereas we have none in the Magic Speed 4. I kind of like some flex for training in plates, and so this shoe is a little more pace versatile towards the slower end than our Magic Speed 4 because of the flexibility, and also the ride is a little more forgiving. The other key element to consider are the uppers. Let's turn them around here so we can see. We have a stretch knit upper here in the Mizuno, and what's neat about it is it's a stretch knit upper that actually works, holds the foot well. It's not quite as locked down as our Magic Speed 4, but I think wider feet might be happier in this upper. We have a full multi-tester review over on roadtrailrun.com, and we really like this shoe. So now some conclusions for our Magic Speed 4. And we're going to also have a multi-tester written review here coming up real soon. So this shoe now is in the Supermax category, and it is the lightest, I think, in the Supermax category, given its weight of 8.13 ounces, 230 grams in my US 8.5 sample. It's a little above the sort of Magic 8-ounce racer category, but we do have a stack height that goes beyond the World Athletics at 43.5 heel, 35.5 forefoot. So this is a max cushion shoe. And as such, I think ASICS has named it well as a carbon trainer. It's been quite friendly enough at slower paces, notably stable here, despite the narrow platform, the big hollowed out area. So, and then things get more exciting as you pick up the pace and you really can push down into the Flight Foam Turbo at top. The plate, well integrated, not harsh in any way. It's easy to roll from the heel at slower paces, and then you can really push into the front. So I think this makes as they say, a carbon trainer, but at $170, I think it's also a really fine long racing option. It's, $80 less than most of the carbon shoes, a little bit heavier, but you really probably won't notice it. The upper is comfortable, not finicky in any way as some racing uppers can be. So it makes for a really good option for the marathoner who wants a carbon plated shoe and that's not overly aggressive. You don't have a midfoot plate hump here, and that's very stable. Now, what would I like to see ASICS do? You can see the line here. That's about where the plate is. I kind of prefer the plate to be lower for more of a roll, and that would put more Flight Foam Turbo right below the foot. I think that would give the shoe a bit more excitement, because this is one steady performer. Plenty of rebound here of the steady variety. A bit more excitement would be nice. So this is a great new option from ASICS for in the Supermax category, above 40 millimeters at 43.5. Weight is reasonable, price is reasonable. It's a great one. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great run. We'll have a full multi-tester review also in written form real soon on roadtrailrun.com.